Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. My name is Norhazwani binti Muhammad Razali along with my partner Amira Hafiza binti Muhammad Nizam. We will be presenting about the attitude of university students towards the registration for general election, case study in UiTM SEREMBAN 3.
The research background for this study is firstly, youth is the important entity who should be responsible to draw future of the country. They are the successor to the development of the country and the one who will govern the country in the future towards their betterment. Therefore, their involvement in the politics of the country is important. Besides, political participation is the involvement of self, mental, thoughts and emotions or feelings of a person from various levels of political activity, such as involving in the election activities where it acts as one of the awareness and responsibility of a person against government regulations or policies. Registration of voting is the first step that should be done by the youth, as it is the responsibilities of the citizen in this country. It is also the first step where the interest in politics will be developed. Data from Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya showed that there is still lower participation of youth in registering their name for voting in the election. This study aims to determine why or what factor that contribute to the lower participation of youth, especially university students, in registration for voting.
Next is the problem statement. Nowadays, there are the existence of people, especially youth, who are interested to participate in the political arena, but it is not in a large scale. This can be seen as there are a lot of youth who care about what is currently happen in the political situation of the country until they choose to take action by giving pressure to the government. People who are already eligible to vote is required to register their information in Election Commissions of Malaysia to make sure that they can be one of the voters in the election and contribute to choose the leader for the country. Unfortunately, the percentage of the people who are eligible to register for voting is still low, as the data from Election Commission of Malaysia stated that there are about total 4.2 million people in the country aged 21 and above that has the qualification to vote has not registered their name as the voter in the general election.
So for the research question in this study is, firstly, what is the level of awareness of university students to not register for voting? The second one is, did unstable political condition affect on the interest of university students to involve in the politics? Last but not least, the research question is, did social media have influence towards university students' voting behavior? As for the research objectives, firstly, it is to determine the level of awareness of university students to register for voting. Next is to examine the relationship of political interest and their participation towards general election. And lastly, to ascertain the relationship between the social media influence towards university students to vote. Moving forward to our conceptual framework, which consists of independent variables and dependent variable. The independent variables is divided into three, which is political participation, political interest, and social media, while our dependent variable is the attitude of university students towards registration for a general election. Next, we can see that there are three independent variables and each one of them consists of two hypotheses, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis.
Next is about the methodology of the study. In order to achieve the objective of the study, a descriptive study by using cross-sectional survey are being used in the study. The unit of analysis for this study is the students in Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies of UiTM SEREMBAN 3. The study covers students in the level of diploma and degree. From approximately 4,000 students in the faculty, there are 341 respondents used in the study. To take into consideration about the constraints, cost, and time, the sampling techniques used in this study is random sampling technique, while the measurement used in the questionnaire is Likert scale. The data from this study will be collected through the distribution of the questionnaires, where in Part A, it consists of the demographic profile of the respondents, Part B, level of intention, Part C, knowledge, and Part D, attitude. The data are being analyzed using the descriptive statistics, means and standard deviation, and also using the Pearson's correlation.
Main finding for the demographic profile, we have distributed to more than 300 respondents to the university students within SEREMBAN 3 campus. The majority of the respondents is female with 64.4%, which the frequency was 201 students. The age of 21 to 23 years old has the highest percentage, 65.7%, with frequency of 205 respondents. For the race, Malay has the highest percentage, which is 92.3%, that represent 288 respondents. As for the religion, majority of the respondents were 92.6% Islam, with frequency 289 students. So for the hypothesis testing, starting with hypothesis 1, to determine the level of awareness of university students to register for voting, political interest is the variable that have the highest mean, which is 39.89 compared to political participation 32.72 and social media 33.87. This shows that the political interest has impact on the level of awareness of university students towards registration for voting, followed by political participation. The higher the mean of the variables, the larger dispersion of standard deviation. Therefore, null hypothesis 1 still can be accepted and alternative hypothesis 1 is rejected. Next, for the second hypothesis is to examine the relationship of political interest and their participation towards general election. The result is R equal to 0.522 while the p-value is 0.000. Therefore, hypothesis alternative 2 is accepted and rejected null hypothesis 2. The last hypothesis is to ascertain the relationship between the social media influence towards university students to vote. The result is R is equal to 0.629 while p-value is equal to 0.000. Therefore, null hypothesis 3 is accepted and alternative hypothesis 3 is rejected.
The first recommendation from the study is to encourage political activity in the university, to attract the interest of the students and show them what real politics is all about. This is because when the students have an interest to involve in politics, they will ensure that they register their name to be a voter for the election. The act that prohibited the practice of politics in university should be reconsidered because it gives a more positive impact rather than a negative impact. Secondly, the study suggests that more effort should be made through online platforms to encourage the young generation who are eligible to vote to register their name. Media social is an effective platform to attract the youth as most of them spend most of their time socializing on the online platform. Thirdly, automatic registration. It is better for the government or the authority to make automatic registrations for every individual in the country that reaches the age of eligible to vote. Automatic registration will increase the percentage of the registration, and it also is the young people because they did not have to register their name on their own. The limitation of the study is first, limited sample size and respondent. In this study, due to the impact of COVID-19, it is challenging to find the respondents and meet the sample size because the researcher need to only rely on the online application such as WhatsApp. By doing it online, there is the tendency for the respondent did not answer the questionnaire. Apart from that, when the sample size is small, the process to determine the variables seems to be complicated because fewer resources have been used to indicate the findings. Next, weaknesses of the quantitative study. Quantitative study gives limited outcomes as the respondents have limited options to answer the questions. And sometimes, the answer set by the researcher is not the actual answers that the respondents want to answer. When it happens, the results or findings of the study do not represent the actual situations that happens. Lastly, limited location of study. The study only involving the students in UiTM SEREMBAN 3 as to obtain accurate findings from the research, especially regarding this topic. More wide locations should be used because the opinion and answers from the other students outside the studies locations are also valuable to give a big positive impact to the findings of the study. To conclude, the purpose of this study is to know the factors that influence university students to register their name to vote in the election. It is to know why the university students who are eligible to vote did not register their names as a voter in the country's election through Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya SPR. From this study, it is clear that the interest in politics is the main important things for the students to involve in the political field, as it is the nature of the people to do things that they like the most. The participations of the young generations in politics must be strengthened as they are the one who will lead the country in the future. Their participation also will help to increase the political stability in the country. That's all from us. Thank you.